All right. Let's get into this. We'll start with the Trump third term thing because I thought that was pretty fucking insane. So, yeah. Let's look at this. So I looked at this before. This is from Forbes on April 30th. Watch the shocking memo when Chris Coons asked Trump noms straight up if Trump can run for third term. I assume that means like nominees. This is wild to me. Like there's no other way to put this. Okay, this is pretty insane. Now, unless there's something I'm missing, about the 25th Amendment or whatever, this is crazy. So let's watch this.
Thank you, Senator Coons.
Thank you, Chairman Grassley, and to each of you and your families, congratulations. And thank you for raising your hand to serve and in some cases continuing to serve the public.
Thank you.
Mr. Mark, if I might, just tell me about the 22nd Amendment. What does it provide?
22nd.
The 22nd Amendment, Senator, my career has mostly been in criminal prosecution. I haven't had an opportunity to use that one specifically.
Anyone able to help on the 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution?
Senator, I believe it is the amendment that deals with a two-term limitation on
Correct.
the service
It
of the
states
president.
no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Mr. Mark, is President Trump eligible to run for president again in 2028?
Senator, without considering all the facts and looking at everything, depending on what the situation is, this to me strikes as more of a hypothetical of something that could be
It's not a
raised.
hypothetical. Has President Trump been elected president twice?
President Trump has been certified the President of the United States 2 times.
Is he eligible to run for a third term under our Constitution?
I would have to review the
All I need to
actual
tell
wording
you
of
is
it.
the language of the constitutional amendment that makes it clear that no, he is not eligible to run for a third term. Anybody else brave enough to say that the Constitution of the United States prevents President Trump from seeking a third term?
I don't like. Okay, so here's the thing. I feel like if you wanted to push back on this somehow and say like, "Oh no, I need to look into it," fair enough. Maybe for some reason this guy hasn't read the amendment. I'm skeptical of that in and of itself. But the second thing I would say is, even if he for some reason doesn't know what this amendment is or the details or whatever, I don't understand why he can't just say like, "Yeah, assuming this is true, that would be a bad thing." Assuming that nothing is going to change, yes, that would be a bad thing. This should terrify you. This should terrify you. Like, as at the very least, is a huge red flag. I've talked about this before, but the fact that the fact that Trump seems to be doing things that he doesn't like aren't well liked, and it just like it makes me think that if you're doing things that you know are not well liked, but you keep doing them, it's one of two things. One, you're totally ignorant of what's going on. Two, you know what's going on. And if you know what's going on, again, that's a huge red flag that like you're going to try in some way, shape, or form to run again. Right? Because, and I'm not trying to be like conspiratorial. I'm not saying that's the only explanation, but it is a red flag that if you're doing things that people don't like and you're not changing, well, maybe that's because like you don't really care about being voted out of office because you think you're just going to get another term. Now, of course, the other argument to that is Trump might just be saying like, well, fuck it, I'm going to do 2 terms anyway. That's a perfectly reasonable explanation as well. It's like, I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit what you want because after this, I'm done. But again, it kind of blows my mind that this guy can't just offer a very simple explanation of even just like, yeah, even if I don't know what's going on, assuming you're right, yeah, he shouldn't run for a third term.
Anybody else brave enough to say that the Constitution of the United States prevents President Trump from seeking a third term? Anybody willing to apply the Constitution by its plain language in the 22nd Amendment? Nobody. All right, let's move on. Mr. Coons, what is res judicata? How does it apply?
It's a judicial doctrine that prevents a judgment that has been, in one case, applies to a, you can't go into court after a final judgment in one case and have it, and litigate the same things again.
How is that distinct from collateral estoppel, which
I watched this before. A lot of this shit is going to be like language I don't understand, but they do get into a question here eventually, about I think it's like they asked something about how if a nominee or if a judge rules something, but it's being like influenced by the president, like is that a bad thing or something like that? Let's see if they end up talking about
Final
that.
judgment in one case and have it, and litigate the same things again.
How is that distinct from collateral estoppel, which precludes litigating the same things?
Res judicata, one involves the same party, the other involves the same things.
And what's a requirement for these two doctrines to apply?
Notice, opportunity to be heard, final judgment of a court of competent jurisdiction.
Anyone disagree? If I might, Mr. Coons, is it pronounced the same way mine is? Or
Yes, it is.
Coons?
Yes, Senator.
My family's name was spelled that way when we came to the country. So, you were one of 3 judges on the panel in Alexander v. Trump, where the president was suing the Pulitzer Prize Board for defamation. When did your work on that case begin? When were you assigned this case to decide?
I first learned of that case in approximately January of 2025.
Not when the briefs had been filed?
No, Senator. The way it works in our court is we are not assigned cases when the briefs are filed. Once the case is ready for disposition, the clerk randomly assigns it to the judges in the court.
And when did you first speak to Senator Scott's office about your interest in a district court seat in the Southern District of Florida?
I mean, I've had many conversations with Senator Scott's office. The one about an interest in the Southern District of Florida, I believe, was in November of 2024. I don't know the date, but it's in my Senate Judiciary questionnaire.
And when did you release the opinion ruling in President Trump's favor in this matter?
So I learned of the case in January of 2025, and the opinion was released in, I believe it was February 12th, 2025.
That's correct. So you issued an opinion where one of the litigants before you was the president and in favor of the president while you were in active conversation with the senator's office about seeking a federal judicial appointment. Is that correct?
For a position I did not, in fact, get, Senator.
How did you end up in front of me today?
It's a different position, Senator.
Did you consider recusing yourself from that particular decision?
No, and the canons that govern us in Florida, Senator, as I believe this committee has previously heard, it did not call for me to recuse myself. I did not have an interest in the litigation, and none of the basis called for recusal, and the Florida Supreme Court instructs us, the appellate judges, that we are not to recuse
Maybe it's coming towards the end here. There's like less than 2 minutes left, and I'm pretty sure they ask about what I said before.
unless one of the bases in Canon 3 exists.
Does the Florida canons not require you to recuse if one of the parties before you has an interest that could be reasonably concluded by any common citizen to cloud your judgment on that matter?
Senator, I disagree with that characterization. I had not heard from the White House until after the opinion was final. I had only spoken
When
to
did you interview with the White House counsel's office?
at the end of February of 2025. I don't know the date, but I believe it's in my Senate Judiciary questionnaire.
Thank you for your testimony on that matter. Mr. Hendershot, if you would just take a minute and talk me through again how collateral estoppel and res judicata are different from each other.
Senator, I'm not sure I can improve much on Judge Kuntz. I think that often res judicata today is used as sort of a catch-all term, but generally I think the difference is between claims and claims that may have not been brought but could have been brought potentially.
Right.
So collateral estoppel and res judicata is more a thing actually decided, as the Latin would suggest.
Thank you.
Ma'am, I tell you what, at some point, it would be super useful for me to, and I know I've said this about a million times about a million different things, but it doesn't make it any less true. It would be super useful for me to go down some kind of like law arc where I can understand, or whatever the general subject of what they're talking about would be, or I can better understand sort of the terms of what they're talking about. Because these videos are like I like watching them, don't get me wrong, but when there's like this much information where it's like there's so many terms and shit being thrown around, it's so fucking hard to focus and have an opinion on. And I think that's a distinction too, because like sometimes like even in the beginning of the video where we were going over the Trump thing about him running for a third term, even at the beginning of the video, like there was like a few words I missed. So, as usual, let me know if you guys think I missed something there. That would have changed if they said something at the beginning that would have changed what the rest of what they said. But this is a little bit different. This is, I feel like, of like a category problem where it's just something I need to get more educated on. But they've got to be asking that question, because I swear to God I heard this before, and they asked that question I was talking about.
Do you agree that judges should not be influenced by external pressure to rule in any particular way?
There it is.
Yes, Senator, I do.
President Trump stated March of this year at a public event, quote, "We have rogue judges that are criminals. They're criminals, what they do to our country, the decisions they hand down and hurt our country. Is it possible for a judge's decision to be correct as a matter of fact and law, even if it differs from the president's desired outcome?"
That's okay. I don't know what else to say about that. That is just like absolutely diabolical. Assuming what he's saying is true here. Now, I can understand, like, I feel like I can see a world in which a senator comes out, or a president or whatever, and a decision is made, and they're like, "We are extremely disappointed with this decision. We do not agree with it for this, this, this." But when you're like calling these fuckers criminals, it's like, bro, it's so obvious that you're leaking into the territory of like, I am trying to actively influence what you're doing. I am trying to word things in a way that's either just venting my frustration, or I'm trying to directly use my language to impact how people feel about you or how you feel about yourself, so you might rule in a different way. Not only that, but let's read that quote again, because I want to make sure I have this right before I say it.
Trump stated March of this year at a public event, quote, "We have rogue judges that are criminals. They're criminals, what they do to our country, the decisions they hand down and hurt our country. Is it possible for a judge's decision to be correct as a matter of fact and..."
So, okay, unless they like literally did something illegal, you probably shouldn't be calling a sitting judge a criminal for the decision that they made. Now, again, if there's something genuinely illegal they did, let me know. But if that's not true, this is such an obvious example of like, what are we doing? What are we doing where the president of the United States is saying this about judges?
law, even if it differs from the president's desired outcome?
Senator, I want to tread carefully because of Canon 5 in terms of commenting on political matters. But in the abstract, yes, decisions can be correct, and any citizen can criticize what a judge has done. That is, I think, part of their right to speak.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman.
So it sounds like
Senator.
that last guy
hand
was
down and
not,
hurt our country.
Let's watch that again.
Is
That last guy was kind of agreeing.
Possible for a judge's decision to be correct as a matter of fact and law, even if it differs from the president's desired outcome?
Senator, I want to tread carefully because of Canon 5 in terms of commenting on political matters. But in the abstract, yes, decisions can be correct, and any citizen can criticize what a judge has done. That is, I think, part of their right to speak.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony. March of this year at a public event, quote, "We have
Sorry, one more
rogue
time,
judges..."
because there's something he said there that seems a little. It's small, but I think he may have worded this in a way that is a little sketchy.
That are criminals. They're criminals, what they do to our country, the decisions they hand down and hurt our country. Is it possible for a judge's decision to be correct as a matter of fact and law, even if it differs from the president's desired outcome?
Okay. Now listen to the question there. He said, "Can it differ from the president Can it differ from what the president what the president desires?"
Is it possible for a judge's decision to be correct as a matter of fact and law, even if it differs from the president's desired outcome?
The president's desired outcome. Okay. Fair enough. Listen to how this guy answers this question, though. Now, I know this might be small and maybe this might be nothing, but I'm not convinced it's not at least something.
Senator, I want to tread carefully because of Canon 5 in terms of commenting on political matters. But in the abstract, yes, decisions can be correct, and any citizen can criticize what a judge has done. That is, I think, part of their right to speak.
Thank you. Thank you all for your testimony.
Yeah.
Okay, notice the word he uses here.
Can criticize what a judge has done. I want to tread carefully because of Canon 5 in terms of commenting on political matters. But in the abstract, yes, decisions can be correct, and any citizen can criticize what a judge has done. That is, I think, part of their right to speak.
Okay, he used the word citizen.
You. Thank you all for your testimony.
Yeah. Mr.
Now, it's not that President Trump isn't a citizen. I'm not saying President Trump isn't a citizen. But the fact that the other guy was asking about Trump and like what he thinks, as the president, and then the other guy only uses the word citizen. I don't know. It's a little sketchy there, and I just feel like if you're in that situation, if you're trying to be as sharp as you can, you would say like a citizen, and especially the president, or a citizen including the president, or something like that. I don't know. It's just a little worrisome when somebody has an answer like that when the question was about the president, and then they say something like any citizen, because maybe it's like technically correct, but again, it's like, I don't know. It's just sketchy.